Now let's get back to our mini case. So we discussed Nespresso. And at the heart of the Nespresso business model is a machine with the pods, right? But let's look at what was particular in their business model that made them so successful. So they had a very deliberate strategy. Their strategy was to sell the Nespresso machines through retail channels, all the retail channels possible, to households mainly, big part of their business. They would earn money from a one-time transactional sales, but most of that money would go to their partners, the machine manufacturers. Now, why do they sell through retail? What do you think? Because they want to reach as many people as possible. Now, here's where it gets interesting. For the Nespresso pods with the coffee inside that you put in the machine, they didn't use retail. They only sell through their own channels. First, mail order, call center, then obviously Nespresso.com, and then afterwards they built Nespresso stores. Which means they had to build as a key resource all their own channels. This is curious. Why did they make a difference between the machines and the pods? Well, because they understood the dynamics of the strategy there. That if they would get the machine in the households, basically you don't have a choice anymore. You're locked in. Once you have the machine, you can only use Nespresso pods. So you would automatically go to their channels to get the pods. So the pods, they sell them only through direct channels. What's the consequence? Well, you're going to buy those pods in a repetitive way, again and again and away, recurring revenues. But most interestingly, well, if there's no more middleman, all the revenues go right into the pockets of Nespresso. So they earn more money by selling directly. So let's look at the left-hand side of the canvas. What do they really need to make this happen? Let's look at the key resources. What do you think are the key resources that Nespresso needs to make their business model reality? Couple of things. One of the most important parts are the patents. They have to protect their system, so nobody else could make pods that would fit in that machine. And they defended that for a very long time. Turns out, one company found a way around that with biodegradable pods. Turns out that some of their patents are expiring in 2012. So it will be very challenging for Nespresso to rejuvenate their business model. What else do they need? Well, coffee, that's a no-brainer. But you know what? Coffee is really important because they try to get the best coffee. And then the brand. If you're in consumer goods like this, you better have a good brand to really make it possible. And then they built some really, really high-end production facilities to create the best pods with the best quality coffee inside in the world. Now let's look at the activities. I put 3 things there. First one, business to consumer distribution. It was the first time for Nestlé in their company Nespresso to send small boxes to individuals. Before, they used to send big pallets to retailers with their Nescafé brand where they were shipping coffee around the world. So they switched from business to business distribution in the Nespresso model to business to consumer logistics and distribution. That's a pretty important shift. And then they want to excel obviously at marketing because they're in consumer goods. And the third part is production. They focus on really producing the best quality coffee. And when you have the left-hand side mapped out, very quickly you can figure out the costs. Production, business to consumer distribution, and marketing. And boom, you have the entire business model on one poster. Isn't that interesting?